Hello everyone, Luke here. Welcome to my latest video talking about the F1 2021 season. Now, in my McLaren vid, I mentioned that a lot of the teams, although they might be keeping their cars consistent, they are making a few changes with the driver lineup. In fact, the majority of the grid has decided to change one driver this season. However, there is a team that has decided to go completely afresh and sign two rookies for the 2021 season. And I'm now going to explain why I think this, as well as a few other reasons, might just make it the toughest season that Haas have had in Formula 1 up to date. Now let's give a bit of background to the Haas Formula 1 team. Founded by Gene Haas, who has run a successful NASCAR team for many years, they went into a technical partnership with Ferrari for the 2016 season, and they did very well to start with for a brand new team, 6th and 5th. Courtesy of Romain Grosjean in the first two races of the season, and perhaps unsurprisingly, the success of those first races didn't last for the rest of the season. They had a few car problems, only scored points on 3 more occasions, with Romain getting all of them, his teammate Esteban Gutierrez not finishing in the top 10 throughout the entire season. 2017, they decided to make a driver change, bringing in Kevin Magnussen from Renault, and they were a lot more consistent throughout the 2017 season, still finishing 8th in the championship. The big year for Haas though was 2018. Arguably, on pace, they had the best of the rest car behind the Mercedes, the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Should have finished 4th in the championship. There was just too many mistakes and too many operational errors creeping in. You might remember the double pit stop failure at the Australian Grand Prix where both cars had to retire, and of course Grosjean crashing under the safety car at Azerbaijan. Still finished 5th in the championship, and it still looked good for the 2019 season when things quickly started heading south. A new sponsorship deal was signed with Rich Energy, and the performance just seemed to drop instantly. 9th in the championship in 2019. The sponsorship deal didn't even last the entire season, with Rich Energy CEO William Storey being quite critical of the Haas management and their drivers throughout the season, and 2020 was their worst year in Formula 1 to date in terms of points scored. Only 3 points throughout the entire season, thanks to Magnussen finished 10th in Hungary and a 9th place for Grosjean at the Nürburgring. You do wonder, where did it all go wrong? So what could the reasons be maybe for Haas's inconsistencies? We'll start off with the drivers. Magnussen and Grosjean are definitely quick, and if you were to describe them, you'd probably go, yeah, they're good drivers, but unfortunately for Haas, they've been seeing a lot more of the but rather than the good driver part over the last couple of seasons. Magnussen's had a bit of a reputation for some very aggressive defensive manoeuvres, which have earned him some trips to the stewards and sometimes damaged the car ever so slightly. And Grosjean, there's been almost rookie-like errors creeping into the Frenchman's performance. Yes, on his day, he's still an absolutely fantastic driver, but those days have become less and less often, and he seems to have regressed back to his early Lotus years over the last couple of seasons, where he was famously called a first-lap nutcase by Mark Webber. And I think the most famous race that showed that point for Haas was Silverstone in 2019, which led to a tweet from William Storey, where they took each other out on lap 1 and basically ended any chance they had of scoring in the race. It's a bit unfair though to put this all solely on the drivers. The car has developed a reputation as probably being one of the most awkward in Formula 1 to get a driver's head around. This started right from when they started in Formula 1. In 2016, the brake-by-wire system seemed to cause multiple problems on their car. Many times the drivers had to retire from races due to brake issues, or sometimes not even making it to the grid whatsoever. 17 and 18 looked a bit better, but in 2019, once Ferrari started struggling a bit more with their car, you noticed that that partnership with Ferrari that Haas have can sometimes have its down points. They really struggled with tyre warm-up throughout 2019. Austrian Grand Prix, Kevin Magnussen managing to get the car into the top 5 in qualifying was probably one of the slowest cars in the race. And in 2020, as the Ferrari engine was a lot worse than it was in previous years, Haas and Alfa Romeo and Ferrari, let's be honest, have really struggled at any track that requires any straight line speed whatsoever. So it's perhaps unsurprising that Haas were dropping back. And it also transpired that they've been having big problems with their suspension setup, with Grosjean saying the drivers would ask for a certain setup to be put on their car, the engineers and mechanics would do that, and the car would feel completely different as the temperature was changing between the practice sessions, and because they couldn't get this car in a consistent operational window, the drivers never really felt confident to push 100%, so perhaps it's unsurprising that we saw a lot of mistakes from Magnussen and Grosjean. Haas therefore have decided, we've got nothing to lose, we might as well make some changes. But if you've got two drivers with nearly 300 Grand Prix experience between them, struggling with a car, what chance are two rookies really going to have? Now, the drivers Haas have gone for are reigning Formula 2 champion Mick Schumacher, who I think will be pretty proud if he does as well as his uncle in his Formula 1 career, never mind as well as his dad. And we've also got the Russian Nikita Mazepin, who won a couple of races in Formula 2 in 2020. For both of these drivers, however, this came off the back of rather underwhelming 2019 seasons, the German and the Russian finishing 12th and 18th respectively, suggesting that it might take them a bit of time to get used to whatever car they're driving. And in fact, if you look at Mick Schumacher's previous results in Formula 3 as well, before he made the step up to Formula 2, there's this pattern of about 12 to 18 months where he seems to struggle with the car before really finding his feet, and with how fast Formula 1 cars evolve, that could especially be a problem. At least though, he doesn't really cause any controversy on or off the track, which definitely cannot be said for Nikita Mazepin. He's gained a bit of a reputation over the 2020 season of being a very aggressive defender. And then off track, he's punched Callum Ilott in the face and he's groped someone in the back of a car, and they clearly weren't into it. And for all of those incidents, he's not really shown any signs of sincere remorse, let's say. There was a lot of calls, obviously, and there still are calls for Nikita Mazepin to be sacked from the Haas F1 team. At the end of the day, though, Haas desperately need the money that will come from the Russian's billionaire father backing. Now, I admit, I've made it sound very doom and gloom for the Haas F1 team. I've said they've got no money, I've said they've got two drivers that struggle to cope with brand new cars, and I've said that the car that they're most likely to have for the 2021 season is going to be a bit of a pig to drive. There are notes of optimism. However, if you look at Haas's performance compared to other new Formula 1 teams over the 21st century, they've done fairly well. Only Toyota, out of all the teams to join since 2000, have done a better job than them, and they spent billions of pounds to really only get podiums. So considering the budget that they've got, Haas have done fairly well, I'd say, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And with the 2021 car being an evolution of 2020, they should be able to learn a bit more about it. However, they will be stuck with some of the bad characteristics that are naturally built into that car. Ferrari, on the other hand, should provide a better engine for the 2021 season. They really struggled last year. There's already rumours going around that it should have about 50 brake horsepower extra, and this should help the Haas team on any circuit where straight line speed is absolutely crucial. So Monza obviously comes to mind as the main one of those. Also, two brand new drivers will be extremely hungry and extremely passionate to improve and learn, so you're going to get some fantastic performances, I imagine, every now and then, even if the consistency isn't going to be quite where Haas would like it to be. And the budget cap that's coming in Formula 1 very shortly should level the playing field out ever so slightly, and seeing as Haas are used to operating at a lower budget, it could help them ever so slightly. However, I think they might be better off just writing off the 2021 season and just putting everything towards 2022 and finally bursting their way back up that midfield and maybe, just maybe, challenging for the odd podium or two. Well, that's the end of this video where I've discussed Haas's chances in the 2021 season. Let me know in the comments below what you think they'll do about... I have no idea what I'm on about. Well, that's the end of this video where I've discussed Haas's chances in the 2021 season. Let me know in the comments below what you think. How do you think they'll perform next year? And what would you do differently if you were in charge of the American F1 team? If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. You can also check out my other socials, which are down in the description below. And I'll see you next time around for another discussion about Formula 1. Goodbye.